This is the story of a pool party I'll never forget. A real event that still gives me chills when I think about it. I don't care if anyone believes it or not, but I lived it. I saw it, and I felt every second of it. So sit back and just listen carefully. It happened 2 summers ago. My friend Alex had just moved into a new house with his family. It was a nice 2-story place, and the best part? It had a huge swimming pool in the backyard. As soon as summer vacation started, Alex decided to throw a big pool party. He invited a bunch of us, around 15 close friends, and we were all excited. Music, pizza, snacks, pool games. It sounded perfect. We all got there around 4 p.m. The sun was bright, the pool water sparkled, and the vibe was perfect. We were laughing, splashing, throwing beach balls, and just being wild like any group of friends would. Alex's parents were out of town, which made it even more fun. We felt free. But looking back, maybe it was a bad idea that there were no adults around. After a couple of hours, as the sun started to dip, weird things began happening. It started with Ella. She was floating on a big unicorn float, her eyes closed, just relaxing. Then suddenly she sat up and shouted, "Who touched my foot?" We all looked at each other. No one was near her. She looked kind of shaken, like she wasn't joking. "I'm serious," she said. "Something grabbed my foot from under the water." Alex laughed. "Probably just the float moving, or maybe one of us swam by without you noticing." But none of us had gone under the water at that moment. Things got stranger as it got darker. Around 7:30, we turned on the backyard lights and lit some lanterns around the pool. That's when my friend Jason decided to dive underwater with his goggles on, just messing around. He came up fast, coughing and gasping. "There's something at the bottom of the pool," he said. It looked like a face. Everyone laughed at him. We thought he was trying to scare us, but I looked at his face, and he wasn't joking. He was pale and serious. "Like a mask or something?" I asked. He shook his head. "No, not a mask. A real face, just staring." But it disappeared. A few of us grabbed goggles and went under to check. Nothing. The bottom of the pool was clear. No face, no mask, no weird shadows. Still, a strange feeling came over the group. The music suddenly sounded too loud. The light seemed dimmer. And the water, it didn't feel fun anymore. It felt heavy. Then Maddie screamed. She had gone to the edge of the pool to get a soda, and when she looked into the water, she said she saw a hand reaching up toward her. No one else saw it, but she was terrified. She backed away so fast she slipped and cut her leg on the edge of a chair. We helped her up, cleaned the cut, and tried to laugh it off. But the fun was fading, fast. Something wasn't right. Alex, trying to lighten the mood, said, "Let's play pool tag. That'll shake off the creepy vibes." We agreed, even though we all felt nervous now. During the game, I was it, so I had my eyes closed and was trying to tag people by sound. I heard someone swim past me to my left, so I lunged that way. But when I opened my eyes, there was no one there, just empty water. Then I felt a hand on my shoulder. I turned fast, expecting one of my friends, but there was no one behind me. That was it for me. I swam to the edge and climbed out. I couldn't take it anymore. I didn't even know what I was scared of, but I couldn't stay in that water. More people started leaving the pool too. We all sat wrapped in towels, looking at the pool as if it had turned into something else. Then we noticed something. The water was moving, not just rippling from wind or someone splashing. It was swirling, almost like a slow whirlpool. But no one was in the pool. And then we all saw it. Something under the water. Just a shadow at first. Then it rose higher, like it was floating up. It looked like a person, pale and still, right under the center of the pool. Ella whispered, "Is that a body?" Someone said to turn on the underwater lights. We did. And what we saw made two people scream out loud. There was a girl under the water, young, maybe 13 or 14. Her eyes were open, staring upward. Her skin was pale, almost bluish. And she wasn't moving. She looked dead. Alex immediately jumped in. He swam to the spot, dove down, but when he came back up, he was alone. "There's nothing there," he said out of breath. "She's gone." But we all saw her, all of us, at the same time. That was it. The party was over. Everyone packed up quickly, and within minutes, the backyard was empty. Later that night, I couldn't sleep. Around 1 a.m., Alex called me. He sounded shaken. I looked it up, he said. This house, the pool. He had found an old news article. 5 years before his family bought the house, there had been an accident. A young girl had drowned in that pool during a birthday party. Her parents had gone inside for just a few minutes. When they came back, she was gone. They found her at the bottom. She didn't make it. Her name was Lila. Alex sent me the photo from the article. It was the same face we saw in the water, the same girl. After that night, Alex never used the pool again. His family moved out by the next summer, and none of us ever talked about the party again. But I remember the feeling in the air, the cold touch on my shoulder, the face under the water. So if you're ever at a pool party and things start feeling strange, like the water is watching you or something's brushing your leg when no one's around, get out. Fast. Because sometimes the party guests aren't all from this world, and some of them never left. That's the disturbing true pool party horror story I had to tell you. And believe me, it's not something I'll ever forget. This is the story of a summer night that changed everything. Something that started off fun, casual, and full of laughter, but ended in a way none of us expected. And trust me, I wish I was making this up, but it really happened. So listen closely, because once I start, you won't want to look away. It was a hot Saturday evening in July. My best friend Rachel had just turned 18, and her parents were out of town for the weekend. So of course she threw a pool party. Her house was perfect for it. Big backyard, lots of space, a crystal clear pool, and no nosy neighbors. She invited about 20 of us, mostly our group from school. People brought speakers, snacks, floaties, and drinks. I arrived around 6 p.m., just as the sun started dipping low. The sky had that golden glow and music was already playing. People were in the pool splashing around, laughing, dancing. The mood was perfect. Rachel greeted me with a big hug and handed me a soda. "Let's make this the best night ever," she said with a grin. I smiled back. "Only if you don't play your creepy music playlist later." She laughed. No promises. Everything felt normal for the first couple of hours. I remember sitting by the pool with Jake, my crush at the time, talking about our plans after graduation. Then Rachel's cousin Lucy showed up. She was only 16 and pretty quiet, but Rachel made her come out to meet everyone. Lucy didn't say much, just waved and sat by the edge of the pool, dipping her feet in. She looked uncomfortable the whole time. Around 9 p.m., as it got darker, the pool lights kicked on automatically. They glowed blue and made the water look even more inviting. Someone turned the music down and suggested a game of truth or dare in the shallow end. Everyone swam over, including Rachel and me. Lucy stayed on the side, arms crossed, watching. During the game, someone dared Jake to dive and grab one of the glow sticks we'd tossed in earlier. He put on goggles and swam down. A few seconds passed, then more, then a lot more. "Jake?" I called, laughing nervously. Suddenly, he shot up out of the water, gasping for air, and swam to the side fast. He climbed out, shaking, his face pale. "What the hell?" someone said. Jake looked around, shivering. "There's someone else down there." We all froze. "What do you mean?" Rachel asked. Jake stared at the pool. "I don't know, I saw something. A person, long hair, just floating there. But when I reached for it, it was gone." Everyone got quiet. The music stopped. The only sound was the water gently lapping against the sides of the pool. Lucy stood up slowly. "I told you not to swim at night," she said quietly. "What?" I asked. She looked at Rachel. "I told you she doesn't like it." "Who doesn't like it?" Rachel asked, confused. Lucy didn't answer. We all thought Jake might have imagined it. Maybe the lights messed with his vision. Maybe it was just a shadow. But deep down, none of us believed that. We knew something wasn't right. Still, we tried to shake it off. The music came back on, a little lower this time. People tried to laugh and joke again. But that weird feeling stuck in the air, like we were being watched. It was around 10:30 when something else happened. My friend Emily was in the pool alone, floating on her back with her eyes closed. She liked the quiet. I was sitting nearby watching the stars. Then Emily screamed. She scrambled out of the pool like she was on fire. Her face was wet with tears. "Something pulled my hair," she cried. "It wasn't a joke. It was hard. It yanked me down." People rushed to her. She showed us a clump of hair in her hand like it had been torn out. Rachel looked at the pool, her voice shaking. "Okay. Everyone out of the water. Now." No one argued. Everyone climbed out. We stood around in silence, staring at the pool, as the surface slowly stilled. Then Lucy spoke again, her voice low. "They never found her body." Rachel turned to her. "What are you talking about?" Lucy hesitated, then said, "The girl who used to live here. Her name was Hannah. She was 15. She drowned in that pool during her birthday party. They searched and searched, but her body vanished. No one knows how. It just disappeared." The silence that followed was painful. Rachel's voice cracked. "Why didn't you ever tell me?" Lucy shrugged. "Your mom said not to talk about it. Said it was a tragic accident, but sometimes when I stay over, I hear water splashing at night. And I've seen her, in the water. Her hair floats like she's still down there." Nobody said a word. I turned and looked at the pool, and I swear I saw it, just for a second. A face just under the surface, pale, eyes open, staring right at me. Then it was gone. "Did you see that?" I whispered. A few others nodded. One girl started crying. We grabbed our stuff and left. No one even said goodbye. Rachel was the last one to go inside. She locked all the doors and stayed up all night with Lucy. She told me later she couldn't sleep, said the water in the pool kept moving, even though there was no wind. The next morning, they found something. Floating in the center of the pool was a birthday balloon. Old, faded, half deflated. Tied to it was a bracelet. Rachel recognized it. It used to belong to her mom, but her mom never swam. Ever. When Rachel asked her about it, her mom froze. Then she admitted it. Hannah was her childhood best friend. She had been at the party the day Hannah drowned. They were swimming alone when it happened. Something pulled Hannah under. Rachel's mom jumped in to save her, but by the time she reached for her, Hannah was gone. Just gone. No body, no bubbles, nothing. The police couldn't explain it. Rachel's mom never swam again, never spoke of it, and when they bought the house years later, she didn't tell Rachel the truth. Since that night, Rachel covered the pool. She drained it, locked it up, and had her parents put up a fence around it. She says sometimes, when it rains, she still hears water splashing or sees wet footprints leading to the house door, but no one's there. That's the story of the most disturbing pool party I ever went to. And every time I think of clear blue water at night, I remember that face. And I wonder if she's still down there, waiting. This is the story of a night I will never forget, and one that still haunts me to this day. It's the kind of story people don't usually believe, and honestly, I don't blame them. But I'm going to tell you anyway, because it's real. So, listen closely, because when I tell you what happened, you might think twice about taking a walk through the woods at night. It started out as just another Saturday night. My friend Jason had invited me and a few others to a camping trip. It was nothing too fancy, just a quick getaway up to the woods about an hour outside of town. The plan was simple: hike, set up camp, cook some marshmallows, tell ghost stories around the fire, and then sleep under the stars. Typical camping stuff. At least, that's how it was supposed to go. The group was small, just Jason, his older brother Matt, Sarah, and me. We drove up to the site, a place we had all visited before when we were younger. The trees towered above us, casting long shadows on the ground. The air smelled fresh, like pine and damp earth. We laughed and joked as we set up our tents, figuring it would be a fun night away from the usual routine. The fire pit was already set up when we arrived, and the wood was dry enough to catch a flame easily. The sun was setting, and the night was beginning to creep in. We all gathered around the fire, roasting marshmallows and cracking jokes. It felt peaceful, safe, but that didn't last long. Around 9:30 p.m., when the sky had turned completely dark, Matt suggested we take a walk along the nearby trail. "Let's explore a bit before it gets too late," he said, his voice a little too eager. Jason and I didn't think much of it. We were used to these woods, and it didn't seem dangerous. We agreed, and Sarah, who was a little more hesitant, followed, along behind us. The trail was familiar, winding through dense trees and up a small hill. The night was quiet, except for the occasional rustle of leaves or the distant call of an owl. We walked for about 20 minutes, chatting and laughing, when Jason suddenly stopped. "Did you hear that?" he asked, his voice low. I turned to him, confused. "Hear what?" He frowned, like someone walking behind us. I listened carefully, but there was nothing. The air was still. "Maybe it's just the wind," I suggested, but Jason wasn't convinced. We continued on, but now Jason and Matt were both scanning the trees, their eyes darting back and forth. Sarah seemed uneasy too, trailing behind us and looking over her shoulder every few seconds. Then we heard it. A soft footstep, almost like the faintest crack of a twig underfoot. We all froze. "Okay, I heard that," Sarah whispered, her voice tight with fear. I turned around, but the trail behind us was empty. There was no one there, just trees and shadows stretching out into the darkness. "Probably just an animal," Matt said, though his voice lacked the usual confidence. "Let's keep going." We walked a little faster now, all of us trying to shake the unsettling feeling. But the footsteps kept coming. We could hear them behind us, soft, almost like someone was trying to be quiet. It was too regular to be an animal. It sounded like footsteps, human footsteps. Suddenly we all stopped at once. Up ahead, just past a bend in the trail, we saw a figure standing in the shadows. The figure didn't move, just stood there in the darkness like it was waiting for us. None of us said anything. We just stared at it. It was a man, or at least, it looked like a man, but something about him felt wrong. He was tall, but his face was obscured by the darkness of the trees. His body was unnaturally still. "Who's there?" Matt called out, trying to sound brave, but his voice trembled just slightly. The figure didn't respond. It just stood there, unmoving. "Let's go back," Sarah whispered, her voice urgent. "Now!" We all turned to leave. But before we could take a step, we heard the footsteps again, closer this time. Not just behind us, but around us. The woods seemed to be closing in, the trees casting long, twisted shadows on the ground. "Run!" Jason shouted, and that's when panic set in. We all bolted, not knowing which way we were going, just desperate to get away from whatever was out there. The sound of footsteps, too many footsteps, followed us, echoing in the woods. We didn't stop running until we reached the campsite, gasping for breath. We dove into the tents, zipping them up tight and huddling inside, hearts pounding. We didn't say anything at first. We were all too scared to speak. The fire we'd left burning outside flickered weakly, casting strange shadows on the canvas of our tents. The woods were silent again, but there was an overwhelming sense that we weren't alone. "Do you think it followed us?" Sarah finally asked, her voice trembling. "I don't know," Jason muttered, "but I'm not going out there to find out." The night stretched on in uneasy silence. We didn't sleep. None of us did. Every little sound outside made us jump. Every crack of a branch, every whisper of wind. The footsteps were gone, but the fear was still there. We didn't feel safe anymore. The woods felt like they were watching us, waiting for something. Around 3 a.m., when I could no longer stand the tension, I finally spoke. "I'm leaving," I said, my voice shaking. "I'm not staying here, not after what we saw." Everyone agreed. We packed up quickly, our movements stiff and hurried. We didn't even bother to take down the tents properly. We just threw everything into the car and drove off, not looking back. As we pulled away from the campsite, I glanced into the rearview mirror. For a split second, I thought I saw something standing at the edge of the trees. A figure, tall and thin, watching us leave. But when I blinked, it was gone. None of us spoke much during the drive home. We were all too shaken to talk, our minds racing with what we had seen and what we had felt. To this day, I still don't know who or what that figure was. Maybe it was just a person, maybe it was something else entirely. But whatever it wasn't something I'd ever want to encounter again. And whenever I think about that night, I always wonder, was it just a coincidence? Or were we being watched the entire time, from the moment we stepped into those woods. Don't know the answer, but I do know one thing. Some things in the woods are better left undiscovered. This is the story of the night I learned that some places should be left alone. Some things are best left undisturbed. And believe me, I wish I had known that before we went to the old Walker estate. It all started with a dare. A simple, stupid dare. You see, my friend Alex had this way of getting people into trouble. He was always pushing the limits, daring us to do things we probably shouldn't. That Friday night, we were all hanging out at his place, bored out of our minds when he brought it up. "Hey, you guys ever heard about the Walker estate?" Alex asked, looking around at the group. We all nodded. Everyone in our town knew about it. The Walker estate was an old mansion on the outskirts of town, surrounded by trees and, well, rumors. People said it was haunted. Some even said the family who lived there had vanished without a trace a long time ago, leaving the place abandoned and decaying. "Yeah, it's creepy," Sarah said, shivering a little. "Nobody goes near it." Alex grinned. "That's exactly why we should go. Who's in?" I wasn't sure if I wanted to, but the others were all eager. Sarah, who was usually the cautious one, didn't hesitate. "Fine, I'm in," she said, looking at me with a nervous smile. I looked over at Jake and Liam. They were both game. Everyone was ready to take on the dare. I felt the pressure building, and before I knew it, I was saying, "Okay, let's do it." So we piled into Alex's car and off we went. It wasn't far, just a 10-minute drive through the empty streets and winding roads that led to the outskirts of town. The estate loomed up ahead as we drove past the overgrown gate, the high, rusted iron bars standing like a warning. The mansion itself was dark, with boarded-up windows, the roof sagging, and ivy creeping up the walls. It looked abandoned, but not in a way that made you feel comfortable. No, this place had a certain heaviness to it, like it had secrets that were better left buried. When we parked the car, nobody said anything for a moment. The only sound was the rustling of the trees and the distant howl of wind through the broken windows of the house. The air felt thick, like something was watching us. "Let's go," Alex said, pushing open the door and getting out of the car. The rest of us followed, a little more hesitantly now. We made our way to the entrance, the gravel crunching underfoot. There was an old wooden door with a broken handle, hanging crookedly. I noticed a strange smell in the air, damp like mold, and something else I couldn't place. It made my stomach turn. "We'll go in and just check it out." "No big deal," Alex said, trying to sound confident. "Just stay close." We all nodded, though none of us looked too sure. As we stepped inside, the floor creaked under our weight, the house groaning as if it were alive. The air was cold, despite the warm summer night outside. The walls were covered in peeling wallpaper, and the place smelled like dust and decay. But it wasn't just the physical state of the house that gave me the creeps. It was the feeling, the way the atmosphere seemed to press down on us, like the house itself was watching us, waiting. We wandered through the ground floor first, shining our flashlights on the remnants of old furniture, broken chairs, and shattered glass. There were no signs of anyone living here, just the kind of place you'd expect to find in a ghost story. "Nothing special," Liam said, his voice shaky. He was trying to sound brave, but I could tell he was nervous too. "Let's check upstairs," Alex suggested. I could hear the excitement in his voice, but it wasn't excitement that made me feel good. It was the kind of excitement you get when you're about to do something stupid, but you don't care because you've already committed. We made our way up the stairs, which creaked and groaned under our weight. The top floor was darker, colder, and even more run down than the lower level. There were old rooms, each one more decayed than the last. Some doors were wide open, others were sealed shut with rusted nails. I felt an unsettling sensation, like we weren't alone. The hair on the back of my neck stood up, and I kept glancing over my shoulder, half expecting to see someone standing there, but no one was there. "This place is messed up," Sarah whispered. "Maybe we should go back downstairs," but Alex wouldn't have it. "Nah, we're not leaving yet. Let's keep going." We entered what looked like a bedroom. The bed was covered in torn sheets, the wallpaper peeling away, revealing bare wood beneath. But what caught my eye wasn't the bed. It was a mirror on the wall, large and cracked. The reflection wasn't clear, but I could make out the outline of the room behind me. My own reflection was faint, like a shadow, but it wasn't just me. There was something else in the reflection. A figure. A person. I froze. My breath caught in my throat as I turned slowly, expecting to see someone standing behind me. But the room was empty. "Did anyone else see that?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "What?" Jake asked, walking over to me. "What's wrong?" "The mirror. I swear there was someone there," I said, feeling my heart race. Alex rolled his eyes. "You're freaking out over nothing." But I wasn't the only one who felt uneasy. Sarah and Liam were both looking at the mirror now, their faces pale. "I don't know about this," Sarah said. "We should go." But before we could leave, we heard something, soft, almost like a whisper. It was coming from the far corner of the room. None of us moved at first, but then the whispering grew louder. It wasn't words we could understand, just strange sounds like something or someone was trying to speak to us. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the room, and we all jumped. A door at the end of the hallway slammed open, banging against the wall with a force that made the floor tremble. "Okay, that's it. We're leaving," Alex said, his voice shaky now. We didn't argue. We bolted out of the room, down the stairs, and out the front door, not stopping until we were all in the car. Alex drove off without looking back, the engine roaring to life as we sped away from that house. We didn't talk much on the way back. Everyone was too shaken up to say anything. But the worst part? When I looked in the rearview mirror, I swear I saw something, no, someone, standing in the window of the Walker estate. Just standing there watching us drive away. Maybe it was just my mind playing tricks on me. Maybe I was still freaked out from everything that happened. But I don't think so. The Walker estate has been empty for years, or at least that's what they say. But after that night, I'm not so sure anymore. Some places, some houses, they're not abandoned at all. They're just waiting for someone to come inside.